He said he was working late every night, but then I drove to his office and saw my sister in his car. I used to love the nighttime, the stillness, the peace, the way the world quieted down and wrapped itself in a kind of hush. I used to sit by the window, waiting for his headlights to pull into the driveway, my heart fluttering with every shadow that passed. His name was Ryan, my husband of 6 years, my college sweetheart, my supposed safe place. And for so long, I believed in him like a religion. He was the kind of man who knew how to make a woman feel seen, heard, loved. The first time we met, he'd walked right up to me at the campus bookstore and said, "You're reading Sylvia Plath. You must be complicated." I laughed. He grinned. That was the start. It wasn't fireworks at first. It was something better, steady warmth. I grew up with chaos, so steady felt like luxury. My parents were always fighting. My father drank. My mother cried. And in between, there was me, trying to keep everything together. The peacemaker. The invisible glue. But Ryan. He was different. He came from a normal home. He talked about his parents like they were characters from a feel-good movie. He wanted a quiet life, just like I did. And so, when we got married, I thought, finally, I have a home. We bought a little house just outside the city. Nothing fancy, but enough for two. I decorated every room with care, little candles on the windowsills, books stacked in cozy corners, fairy lights in the bedroom. Every night, I cooked dinner. Every weekend, we binge-watched old movies. And every morning, he kissed my forehead before heading to work at the firm. Things weren't perfect, but they were ours. And then, the late nights started. At first, I didn't even notice. A few extra hours here and there. A conference call. A tight deadline. He was a corporate lawyer, after all. That world ran on stress and caffeine. But slowly, the exceptions became the rule. "I'll be late tonight, babe. Don't wait up. Big client, long meeting. I promise I'll make it up to you." And I believed him. Because why wouldn't I? He was my husband. My best friend. And I, foolishly, trusted every word that came out of his mouth. But there was something else. Something that started to make my skin crawl. It wasn't just his absence. It was how present he suddenly became when my younger sister, Lena, came around. Lena was 5 years younger than me. Beautiful. Effortless. The kind of girl who walked into a room and made every man glance twice, and every woman tense up. She wasn't malicious, just magnetic. She wore chaos like perfume. She'd always been the golden one in the family. While I cleaned up messes and took care of our mother, Lena traveled the world, dated photographers, and posted sunset selfies from Bali. But I loved her anyway. I protected her. Even when she made reckless choices. Even when she forgot birthdays or borrowed money and never paid it back. So when she came back home after a breakup and asked if she could crash on our couch for a few weeks, I said yes without hesitation. Ryan didn't mind, or so I thought. At first, everything was fine. She'd sleep in, laze around the house in silk robes, and play her favorite moody playlist while painting her nails at the kitchen counter. Ryan mostly ignored her, barely saying more than a hello. But then I started noticing little things. The way his eyes lingered just a second too long when she walked into the room. How she'd laugh louder at his jokes than mine. The way she started wearing perfume I'd never seen before. Still, I told myself I was being paranoid. That I was tired. That work was just draining him. That nothing was wrong. Because if I admitted otherwise, I'd have to admit that the life I built was already starting to crack. And I wasn't ready for that. Instead, I tried harder. I lit more candles. Wore lipstick again. Made his favorite meals, garlic butter steak, roasted rosemary potatoes, strawberry cheesecake from scratch. But he stopped noticing. His phone buzzed constantly. He started locking it. He forgot our anniversary. And when I cried, quietly, in the middle of the night, he didn't even stir. Still, I waited. Still, I believed. Until that night. The night everything changed. It was raining. One of those heavy, endless city storms that soak through your coat and make the whole world feel like it's sinking. He had texted earlier. Working late again. Don't wait up. But something in my chest snapped. It wasn't anger. It was cold clarity. I got in my car, no plan. Just instinct. And I drove. To his office. To the tall glass building where he always said the lights never went out. And as I turned the corner into the parking lot, my hands gripped the wheel like I was bracing for impact. Because there, under the yellow street lamp, was his car. Still running. And in the passenger seat, Lena, laughing, leaning in close, wearing my scarf, the one Ryan gave me on our honeymoon. And that's when I knew. This wasn't a suspicion. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was betrayal. The kind that splits something inside you forever. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just sat there, parked in the shadows, watching the two people I loved most in the world smile like nothing they were doing could burn a hole straight through me. He leaned over and touched her knee. She laughed again, that soft, flirty giggle she used when she was trying to be cute. It was my giggle once. Back when I used to feel alive. I couldn't look away. My pulse was hammering in my ears. My fingers clenched the steering wheel until the leather creaked. I should have screamed. Should have slammed the door and stormed over. But I didn't. I sat in the car like a ghost. Like I was already dead to both of them. Ryan had never even looked at me like that in months. But with her, he looked enchanted. He kissed her. Right there in the car. Right under the same streetlight where he once proposed to me, after we got locked out of his building and danced in the rain like stupid, hopeful kids. And Lena? She didn't even flinch. She kissed him back like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like I didn't exist. Like I hadn't fed her when she was broke, housed her when she was heartbroken, defended her when even our mother called her a disappointment. I thought about all the nights I made excuses for both of them. She's just lost right now. He's just stressed. They'd never do that to me. But they did. They were. And they didn't even hide it. When they finally pulled out of the lot, I followed. Not because I wanted to see more, but because I needed proof. Something undeniable. So that when I confronted them, they couldn't lie. So they couldn't gaslight me the way they'd probably been doing for months. They drove to a small boutique hotel near the old Riverwalk. One I knew well. Ryan and I had stayed there on our third anniversary. Room 207. With the clawfoot tub and the floral wallpaper. He said it reminded him of me. Gentle. Vintage. Romantic. That memory snapped like glass. They got out together. He took her hand. She was still laughing. They disappeared inside, like they belonged to each other. And I sat in my car with rain dripping down the windshield, realizing my entire life was a lie stitched together with polite apologies and late-night texts. I didn't go home. I drove until the gas light blinked and the city lights thinned into black fields. And then I cried. I cried like something wild. Like I was coughing up the years I lost, the dinners I cooked, the lies I swallowed, the wedding vows I still had framed in our bedroom. I cried until my throat was raw and my chest felt hollow. And when I was done, I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. Eyes swollen, makeup smeared. But something else too. Something colder, quieter, deadlier. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things or beg or fall at anyone's feet. No. I was going to burn everything they built on my broken back. The next morning, I smiled when Ryan came home. Hair damp from a shower. Same suit, wrinkled. Sorry, he said, kissing my forehead. Late night. Got a deal finalized. You wouldn't believe the stress. Oh, I could believe it. He went straight to bed. Didn't even notice my suitcase in the hallway closet, cracked open just enough to see the corner of my passport sticking out. I didn't say a word. Because I had a plan now. First, I needed leverage. So I started documenting everything. Texts, calls, location logs, receipts. Even the spare hotel key I later found hidden in the inside pocket of one of Lena's old coats. She must have gotten lazy or cocky. Then I met with a divorce lawyer, discreetly. He was good, ruthless. He looked at the evidence and said, "You'll own him when we're done." Good. But I didn't want to just own him. I wanted to ruin them both. The final nail came a week later. I invited Lena out for coffee. She showed up in my old leather jacket, the one Ryan gave me on my birthday. She smiled like nothing had happened, like we were sisters again. I forced a smile back. "You look happy," I said. She shrugged, all casual. "I've been finding myself, you know?" "Yeah," I said. "Funny where people find themselves these days." And then I dropped the bomb. "I know about you and Ryan." The color drained from her face. But only for a second. Then she laughed. Not nervously. Not guiltily. Just arrogantly. "Oh, come on," she said. "You always knew. You just didn't want to see it." Her eyes sparkled. "Besides, you're not exactly exciting anymore. You're the stay-at-home and bake muffins wife." He needed more. Something twisted in my gut. Not heartbreak. Not betrayal. Disgust. I leaned in and whispered, "You made one mistake, Lena." She tilted her head. "Oh? You underestimated the girl who raised you. The girl who cleaned up your vomit, paid your bail, and hid your worst secrets from Mom. You forgot I know how to survive fire." She blinked. But it was too late. Because I already had copies of her texts. I already had the video footage of them checking into that hotel, with timestamps and audio. And I already had the evidence that Ryan had used our joint account to pay for their little rendezvous, every single time. That's marital fraud. And my lawyer was itching to file. That night, I came home. Ryan was on the couch, watching some late-night documentary, pretending he was too tired for conversation. I handed him a folder. He opened it. Inside was the truth. Neatly labeled. Time-stamped. Categorized. He looked up. His face turned to stone. "I can explain," he muttered. "I hope so," I said softly, in front of a judge. I walked to the bedroom, closed the door, and packed the last of my things. When I walked out, he was still frozen on the couch. And I, for the first time in years, felt free. But this wasn't the end. Not yet. Because I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to expose them. Publicly. Painfully. And permanently. They took everything from me. Now it was my turn. It took exactly 48 hours for the silence to break. Ryan called 12 times the next day. Then he showed up outside my best friend Kira's apartment, the one place he knew I might run to. I didn't open the door. I watched him through the peephole while he stood there in his expensive suit, clutching his phone like it could still save him. He looked scared. Good. He should have been. I'd sent the evidence to his firm's ethics committee the night before. Infidelity wasn't illegal, but using company credit cards to fund hotel rooms and gifts for your wife's sister? That was breach of conduct. It wouldn't get him disbarred, but it would stain his record. And for a man who built his reputation on clean wins, even a smear was a scar. But Ryan wasn't the one I was most curious about. No. That honor belonged to Lena. She didn't call me. Didn't message. Didn't even try to defend herself. But she posted something on Instagram. A photo of a wine glass beside a book, one I had gifted her years ago. The caption said, "Some people will always play the victim. Others learn how to win." Hashtag unbothered. I stared at that screen so long my vision blurred. She wasn't just proud of what she did. She was mocking me for finding out. They thought I was broken. Defeated. Gone. But they didn't know what I'd been doing in the shadows. I wasn't hiding. I was watching. And while they posted filtered selfies and whispered to each other behind closed doors, I was planting the seeds of their downfall. It started with Ryan's job. A week after he received the evidence file, he was put on indefinite leave, pending internal review. The firm couldn't afford a scandal, especially one involving a senior associate and funds being misused for a secret affair. He tried to spin it, told people it was a burnout break. But word spreads fast when you work in law. By Friday, 3 potential clients had withdrawn. By Monday, his name was scrubbed off their website. He moved out of our house 3 days later. Lena let him stay at hers, the studio apartment she could barely afford before this whole mess started. I imagined them together there, surrounded by borrowed furniture and cheap wine, clinging to each other while their world shrank inch by inch. Then came the wedding venue cancellation. Yes, I found out they were planning to get married. Fast. Quiet. He proposed to her not even a month after a confrontation. I called the venue anonymously. Told them I was the real wife. Shared a few screenshots. They dropped the booking within the hour. The diamond ring he gave her? It was my old ring. The one I took off the night I left and placed in the drawer beside our bed. He didn't even bother to buy a new one. She wore it in a selfie. I zoomed in. The inscription was still there. Forever, L. That was for me, not her. So I posted my own photo. The ring box. A torn-up wedding invitation. No caption. Just a small, elegant hashtag. #borrowedlove. It went viral. My friends knew. Her exes knew. Our entire hometown knew. I didn't have to tell anyone what happened. The world started guessing, and Lena's name was trending in the worst possible way. People started tagging her in breakup memes. Her brand deals disappeared. One influencer posted, "Stealing your sister's man? In this economy? Girl, bye." She went private the next day. And Ryan? He deactivated entirely. But they didn't stay quiet forever. 2 weeks later, Ryan showed up at my door. He looked thinner. Hollow. The tailored suits were gone. Now he wore a hoodie that hung loose on his frame and sneakers that looked like he hadn't cared to tie them. I opened the door, not because I wanted to see him, but because I wanted to see how far he'd fallen. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice low. "I don't think there's anything left," I said flatly. He looked down. I messed up. I didn't speak. Let him stew in it. "I thought Lena," he started, but stopped himself. "I don't know what I thought." "Oh, you knew exactly what you thought," I said. "You thought I'd forgive you. Again. You thought I'd roll over and cry while you built a second life with someone who doesn't know how to do her own laundry." He winced. "She's not who I thought she was." I let that sit. Because neither was he. "She's trying to ruin me," he added quietly. "She took money from my account. Told people I was stalking her when I tried to get it back." A flicker of satisfaction lit my chest. "They say karma's slow," I murmured. "But sometimes it runs." He swallowed. Then reached into his coat and pulled out a folder. "What's this?" "Prenup paperwork," he said. "Lena made me sign one. But she forged a clause to include joint assets, even your half of the house." My jaw tightened. "She tried to steal my house?" He nodded. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't take the folder. Didn't take the bait." "Ryan," I said calmly, "do you know why she's doing this?" He shook his head. "Because she can't stand being second. Not to me. Not to anyone. She didn't want you. She wanted to prove she could take you." Silence. "And the worst part is," I added, stepping forward, "you let her." He looked like he wanted to cry. I hoped he did. Because I wasn't done. I filed the final divorce papers that week. Took half the house. Half the assets. Left him with the debt from Lena's credit card, the one she secretly linked to his account when she borrowed his laptop. Meanwhile, Lena started losing followers faster than she could post TikToks. One of her old boyfriends came forward, revealed how she'd stolen money from him too. Another claimed she'd crashed his car and ghosted him. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she had betrayed. I was just the last one to figure it out. And now, she was alone, jobless, living with a man who no longer trusted her, and no way to climb back. But I wasn't finished. Not yet. Because I still had one move left. A move that would make everything crumble. I was about to show them what revenge looks like. Not loud, not violent, but surgical, precise, and unforgettable. Revenge isn't always fire. Sometimes, it's ice. And mine had been freezing in the dark, sharp, still, and waiting. I didn't want to destroy them in a way that was loud. I wanted them to undo each other. I wanted them to rot from the inside out. Because nothing hurts a liar more than a mirror. And I had just the right one to hold up. It started with a message. One Lena couldn't ignore. An anonymous tip sent to a lifestyle blog she was desperate to work with. Before you hire Lena A, you might want to check out what she did to her own sister and the legal mess her finance is in. You're welcome. Attached was a PDF. Screenshots. Receipts. Video stills. Even a short audio clip, Ryan's voice saying, "She doesn't even excite me anymore." Taken from a recording I'd pulled from the car dashcam I'd installed a year ago, back when I thought he might be in danger driving home late. Funny how I used to protect him. Now I was using the same tools to bring him down. The blog didn't post it publicly. They didn't have to. They just passed on the warning to their network. Within days, Lena lost 2 campaigns. Then a speaking opportunity. Then her PR rep dropped her entirely. Her social media turned off comments. But the damage had been done. The followers weren't just disappearing. They were turning against her. She tried posting a vague reel. Tears. Some people will always try to drag strong women down. #rise above, #stay true. But people didn't buy it. Because somewhere in the comments, someone always posted, "Ask her what she did to her sister." Next came Ryan's downfall. I reached out to an old colleague of his, a woman named Devon. She had once confided in me at a dinner party that Ryan made her uncomfortable. "I don't think he knows how to talk to women without flirting," she'd said. I defended him. Back then. Now, I just sent her an email. Attached a photo of Lena and Ryan checking into the hotel during firm hours. And a timeline of expense reports that matched the dates. She replied in less than an hour. "Thank you for this. I'm not surprised, and I won't stay silent." 3 days later, an anonymous article appeared on a legal industry blog. Why one firm quietly let go of their rising star and what it reveals about office culture. It didn't name him, but anyone in his field could connect the dots. And the dots led straight to a man whose career was now radioactive. Ryan tried calling again. Once. I let it ring. Then blocked him. But the real revenge, the final, slow twist of the knife, came at the charity gala. It was hosted by a nonprofit Lena once begged to be ambassador for. A cause she didn't care about, but she loved the cameras. She had already RSVP'd alongside Ryan. What she didn't know, I was the keynote speaker. My best friend Kira worked in events and had quietly pulled some strings. I donated anonymously. Wrote the speech myself. When they arrived, all dressed up in desperate glamour, Lena's face turned white as chalk. Ryan froze halfway through the door. I stood at the podium in a midnight blue gown, hair pinned back, chin high. I didn't flinch. The room quieted. Cameras rolled. And I began. "My name is Lauren. I'm not here because I'm famous or rich or powerful. I'm here because I know what it's like to have everything taken from you by the people you trusted the most." I felt Lena shift. Felt Ryan's eyes bore into me. Sometimes, betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from people who say they love you. People who eat at your table, sleep in your bed, wear your clothes, smile at your mother. And while you're building a life with them, they're burying a knife in your back. A pause. Pin drops silence. But here's what betrayal teaches you. You don't break. You rebuild. And when you rebuild, you no longer make space for liars at your table. Applause thundered. But I wasn't looking at the audience. I was looking directly at her. Her mascara was running. She couldn't move. Ryan looked like he wanted to vanish. He grabbed her wrist. They left early. No one stopped them. But they were being talked about. People whispered, pointed. Some filmed. And by morning, Twitter knew everything. 2 weeks later, the cracks turned into a collapse. Lena moved out of their apartment. A leaked voicemail circulated, her screaming at Ryan. You were supposed to fix this. I gave up everything for you. And him shouting back. You were just a distraction. You were never her. It went viral. I didn't leak it. I didn't have to. They destroyed each other. And me? I bought a new place. Light-filled. Quiet. With a kitchen that overlooked the sea. I started painting again. Opened my own small business, a curated boutique with handmade candles and original art. People came. Women whispered, aren't you the one who? I smiled. Sometimes, I told them the story. Other times, I just said, I used to live in the dark, but I don't anymore. They tried to reach me, eventually. Ryan sent one last message. Just a single sentence. I'm sorry for ruining us. I didn't respond. Lena? She messaged me on my birthday. A single emoji. I blocked her on every platform. Because I didn't just get revenge. I got my peace back. And that's the sweetest kind of vengeance. When the people who destroyed you have to watch you rise, without ever being allowed back in your light. I thought I had closed the book. Thought the chapter was done, the ashes scattered, the lessons learned. But the thing about betrayal is, it's not just what they do to you. It's what they leave behind inside you. Some wounds don't bleed. They echo. And one night, the echo came back. It was late. One of those quiet nights where the sea outside my window whispered instead of roared. I was sitting in the shop, lighting one of the new candles I'd poured, lavender and sandalwood, peace in a jar. That's when the letter slid under the front door. No knock. No footsteps. Just a sound. A scrape of paper across tile. I froze. My shop is closed at night. No one should have been out there. I opened the door. No one on the street. Not a car in sight. Just fog. And that single envelope. Cream paper. My name and handwriting I hadn't seen in over 20 years. I took it inside with shaking hands. Opened it. Dear Lauren, there's something you were never told. Something your mother made me promise to bury. But I think it's time you knew the truth. Because Lena wasn't the one who started this. I was. And I'm sorry. It wasn't signed. But I recognized the writing. It was my father's. The man who left us when I was 11. The man who vanished after the divorce. The man we hadn't seen in decades. I thought he was dead. Turns out, he wasn't. And he had secrets. Inside the envelope was a second letter. Typed, detailed, confessional. And what it revealed unraveled everything I thought I knew. Lena wasn't my full sister. She was his daughter from an affair he had during my parents' marriage. Our mother found out after he left. And out of shame or pride, she never told me. She adopted Lena. Raised her as her own. Never told either of us the truth. She just said Lena was a surprise pregnancy. But it wasn't hers. It was his. Lena was my half-sister. Raised as my equal. But never treated the same. Not by her teachers. Not by neighbors. Not even by our mother, who could never quite look at her the way she looked at me. And Lena knew. She didn't know the whole story, but she felt it. The favoritism. The guilt. The gap. The letter said she found out the truth when she was 15, snooping through our mom's medical files. A birth certificate with someone else's name on it. Paternity test results. A letter never sent. That's when everything changed. She didn't steal Ryan to hurt me. She did it because, in her mind, I stole her life, her place, her family, her mother's love, and the only man who ever made her feel seen. She wanted revenge, long before Ryan ever looked at her twice. She didn't seduce him. She targeted him. The perfect weapon. Because she knew it would destroy me in the most intimate way. And Ryan? He was just a fool who fell for his own reflection. I sat there in my candlelit shop, letter trembling in my hand, heart pounding like a trapped bird. How much of my life had been a lie? How many times had Lena looked me in the eye, smiled, laughed, cried, while harboring a truth so sharp it could split bone? And worse, how many of my choices were made without knowing the rules of the game? I remembered the birthday I gave her my favorite necklace, the one Mom passed down to me. I thought I was being kind. She thought I was claiming what was never mine. I remembered how she cried when I got engaged. I thought it was joy. She thought it was proof she'd never win. Suddenly, her betrayal wasn't just about lust. It was about legacy. She didn't want Ryan. She wanted revenge for being born second to a lie. And no matter how many people I exposed her to, no matter how thoroughly I destroyed their reputation, there was one thing I couldn't undo. The truth. And it haunted me. The next day, I called a number I hadn't dialed in years. My aunt, my mother's sister. She answered, wary but kind. I asked her directly, and after a long pause, she whispered, "It was complicated, Lauren. But yes, it's true." She said my mother couldn't bear to raise someone else's child, but couldn't leave her either. So she raised her with me. But the resentment leaked through in quiet ways. And Lena felt all of it. "She always loved you," my aunt said. But Lena, she feared her. It made sense now. The tantrums, the distance, the wildness. She wasn't trying to ruin me. She was trying to prove she mattered. I thought about reaching out to her. For a moment. Maybe we were both victims of a history written in shame. Maybe I could forgive. But then I remembered the hotel. The laugh in the car. The mocking smile. The way she posted that ring with pride, knowing what it meant. No. She chose this path. And so did I. I burned the letter. Every page. Every confession. Let the truth curl into blackened ash and drift away on a sea breeze. Because some truths aren't meant to be carried forever. They're meant to be learned. And let go. Now, when people ask me about them, I just smile. They were a part of my story, I say. But not the end. I still run my shop. I still light the lavender candle at night. I still believe in peace. But I don't trust easily anymore. And I never ignore instinct. Because the night that changed my life didn't begin with betrayal. It began with a feeling. A hunch. A heartbeat in the dark. And next time, I'll be ready before the knife lands. Because revenge wasn't just for what they did. It was for all the years they made me doubt myself. And now I never will again.